here in Southern California, and I am here to talk along with a phenomenal guest who is an expert in design and everything innovation from the one and only MIT. And I am going to be talking with him in a little bit. But first of all, we want to start as we always start. Remember, there's only two topics of this live stream. It is growing your business, getting investment for your business, the art of raising money and the art of raising customers. I don't care about anything else. Because if you can do those two things, you're going to build a beautiful, fine, gorgeous unicorn. And every single week I come on, the first couple of minutes, I wax lyrically about things that have happened with our 300 companies, all of those fine faces that you see behind me. They are companies that Expert Dojo have invested into. It is over 300 at this stage. We're very, very proud of the companies that we have. And every single day, every minute of every day, the only thing I'm doing is I'm focusing on how do we help our companies grow faster? And what do we have to do to make sure that we do this? Now, I want to start with literally an hour ago when I was on with one of our incredible Indian founders, and we went through his website. And the thing is this, there are three components to a company being able to build an incredible, beautiful unicorn. The first component is you got to be a badass founder. Now, what does badass founder means? It just means you got to be fit for task. Fit for task is not something where you can just say it's a 7 or it's a 3 or it's a you're good or something else. There are a number of qualities that you need as a founder. Sometimes you need a ton of resilience. Sometimes you need a little bit of resilience, but you pretty much always need something. Sometimes you need to have an incredible amount of growth ability, an incredible amount of technical ability, an incredible amount of customer service ability, but really you just need to have an incredible amount of unicorn founder ability. Everybody knows these people when they see them. It's a little bit like saying, how do we tell if I'm a great footballer or not? Well, actually, you can't tell, but everybody around you can tell. Nobody's in any doubt if Ronaldinho is pretty good or if he's not pretty good as a footballer. He is what he is. Same goes for sports, other sports. The same goes for school. The same goes for everything. People can tell. And there are clues that help them tell. The great people, they're waking up early in the morning. The great people, they're taking care of themselves. The great people are preparing like they would a fine athlete. The great people start at the end and work their way backwards. They're not happy with just the small pieces. So you got to be a great founder. The second piece is you just have to have a good product. I'm sorry, like you can't bypass that normally. Sometimes, but not normally. You have to have a good product. But if you are a great founder and if you have a great product, the greatest Greek tragedy of them all is when you do not execute properly. And one of my founders I was on with this morning is an amazing founder, has an incredible product, and had the worst website in the world. Culpa mio. Is that how they say it? My fault. My fault because I'm Expert Dojo. He's one of our companies and I let that happen under our watch. But the truth is, most founders have terrible websites. And that is because they built it themselves. They fill it full of features, all of the stuff that you want to tell everybody about that you spent your whole company making sure was beautiful. Also, no reasons to believe. Nothing else happening there. Everything is just about, let's see if Kishle's got anything for me. No. Okay. Everything is just about the things you've built. Nobody cares about the things you built. What they care about is the transformative impact that things you built have on them. And you have about 3.5 seconds. You have less time than you have, actually, you got less time than a goldfish has to think for you to be able to get them to actually make a decision. You got like a couple of seconds. That's it. So your hero statement can't be 4, 5, 6, 7 sentences. You don't have that amount of time. Anyway, so websites. I want you all to take it as first thing today. The website is not the only thing on the execution. Obviously, you have the messaging, the brand, the personal brand. That's very important. You have yourself as a media company. How well are you promoting yourselves as a media company? I saw A16 just literally launched a media product, I think, or a media accelerator or something. Anyway, first good thing A16 have ever done. So God bless them for doing that. That is speaking to the future. You also have to have a great outbound strategy, and you have to have great closers for your company as well. That's it. That's all you got to have. But if your website is shitty, then you're not going to go anywhere else. So today is not just about websites. Today is not just about design. Today is about innovation. Today is about breaking through. But as a beginning, as we're talking, just jump back into your website and then look maybe your competitors' websites, and then look at what you're telling your customers and how you're transforming them. And then ask yourself, actually, you know what? Forget I just said that. Get somebody else to look at your website and get somebody else to tell you, 10 people to tell you what the website is telling them as to your largest transformative impact. Because you looking at it yourself is an entire waste of time. Okie dokie. Let me bring Harshit in to the meeting. Hey, Harshit, how are you?
Hey, hi, good morning, good morning. Fantastic to hear you and thank you for having me over here.
It is lovely to see you as well. It is lovely to see you. Can you give a little bit of an introduction? You are a fine, upstanding human being with tremendous skills in the area of innovation, but maybe give us a little bit of background as well. And then we're going to kick right in to how do we help founders grow.
Sure, sure. Uh, so the first of all, I'm part of a university system here. So I'm a faculty of design management and innovation and entrepreneurship. So that's the primary role that I'm here. But I think the job allows me to do so many things. And actually, the best way to describe myself is that I work at the intersection of design, technology, and business. So I think that's
Amazing.
something which is the holy grail of innovation, I would say. And picking from what you were just mentioning, this is that exact intersection which makes innovation happen. And throughout the stage of right from thinking of an idea to executing it and kind of making a business around it, I think that's where I thrive. And majority of the time goes in interacting with student and young entrepreneurs who are full of energy, who are full of enthusiasm, and they are constantly seeking ways in which they can kind of build and grow their businesses. So I think that's what I am in terms of what I do. And I come with an experience of more than 20 years. I spent time in the industry, I have spent time in the academics, and in today's job I deal with both the academia and the industry and the startup ecosystem here in India. So yeah,
That's
that's where
great.
I'm.
That's like my so I have a few favorite areas actually in startup, but none of them are raising money, because raising money is a function, it's a derivative of all of the other things. Like if you have I love beautiful design, gorgeous beautiful design. It used to be, before I really understood technology, it was with buildings, and you would just see a building, especially you go to somewhere like Spain. I'm more of a Spain guy than maybe a France guy. But actually,
Okay.
even actually take Bangalore, and take the in Bangalore. Who's the chap who built his house on top of a this guy's the large building? Who's the very famous guy? He owned Kingfisher Beer.
Vijay Malia.
Yes, and he built his house on top of a building. Now, the thing about design is not always about building something which is a Frank Gehry type building, which is the most beautiful building in the world. It's about building something that makes the statement that you want to make. Now, whether he's a good person or a bad person or an egotistical person, or whether he's full of arrogance, he made a statement with that house that he built on top of that building. And so, with early stage founders, what I always feel with founders is you don't want to necessarily comply with how all of your competitors have done it. And that's not what design is. Design is building something, in my mind. And I'm asking this, by the way, as a question, because you are the master of design. And so I want to look into, as an early stage founder, when you talk about something like design, innovation, and business, and this cross section between all, and the level of importance of getting started in this place, I agree with you. If you get it wrong, you don't get to go to the next square on the board, right? You're stuck where you are. So what does getting it right look like? Is it about making something like I just mentioned on top of the building, whereby it's something which is so crazy, so out there, and annoys as many people as really love it? Or is it about complying with the design standards that are being set for today. Talk to us from your place of love.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up. I think that's probably the most important question that we should be just talking only about that in this podcast, and even that would be of great help to anybody who wants to build something in today's world and time. Uh, to begin with, I think design, by the very definition, it's about adding value. Okay, so that's a very plain and simple definition that I would to kind of begin with. And as we go deeper into the different layers of design, I think the first and the most important function of design is to really find a problem which is worth solving. So there are two approaches. I'll come back to the second one in a while, but unlikely of whatever is currently being showcased as design, whether it's being making a statement or making something which is looking fancy or something which is bold and out there. Yeah, that's a part of design, but that's not the real definition, I would say. Okay, that in some cases that may be a route which a designer would want to take because of the context and because of the situation. But I think the first and foremost thing that we all need to understand is design essentially is meant for creating value for the users. I can create value for users if I'm solving a problem for them and building something meaningful. That's where in your conversation, when you said that I need to have a very solid product. So where does a product come from? From a designer's lens, I think a product comes as a solution to a problem that they see around them. And if we just stick to this definition, it connects with the startup world in such a way that today we see a lot of people who are all solving all the wrong problems. They may not be a problem in the first space. It's something which is their own wishful
Is this
thinking.
design or is this product fit?
No, I'm talking about design as a way of working, design as a way of thinking. That
Okay.
it doesn't start with, so a designer starting out saying that, okay, I want to build something because I want to make a statement, probably that's a wrong footing to start with. Okay, design in current time, it has to start with identifying the right need, identifying the right opportunity, and the entire creative process of moving from that whole problem space to the solution space. It's only when I do this process correctly, I will be able to create something meaningful. I'll be able to create something, and then that, I think that is where it leads to that whole product market fit. So if I do design well, my product market fit is kind of more or less ensured. And
Interesting.
uh, we all know, right? You being in this whole ecosystem, why majority of the startups fail? Well, they are
Yeah.
trying to build something which nobody wants. It's probably something which is out of their fancy. It's out of their
Yeah.
wish to make a statement and say that, okay, look, this is what I am here for. But probably there are no takers for it. So I think
Yeah.
these are very grounded things that if you do design right, and the second aspect of, yeah, a good website definitely is part of design. A good brand, a logo, an experience, a service design, customer experience, all of that comes under this whole realm of design, because these are all different touch points which can be enriched using good design. So what meets the eye, what meets the customer beyond the product, I think that's also his responsibility of design. So right from finding a right problem and creating a good solution to communicating it and weaving it into that entire journey and the experience, I think that is where design and startup go hand in hand.
You know what's so interesting is as you're describing this, because I saw them, it's really funny. Um, Logically, I saw design and product fit as two different things. However, if I think about the last rebranding that we did, design came first and product fit came second. So I'll give you like exactly as you're stating right there, but not intentionally, just because it flowed very seamlessly that way. And so we have one of our companies which is called Matchbook. It's a great company based over here in the US. And
Mhm.
Matchbook went through a few challenges later last year when they were trying to raise an A, and they didn't raise an A for like a ton of different reasons. And then they ended up, whenever you don't raise an A, it's very hard. You kind of got to go backwards. But their product at that time was all about just really data matching. and like how do you create better data matching so that the external published data can be more accurate for companies that want to buy that data. And so at that time, the website was blue, and the links and everything on it just all spoke very much to data, 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 data. And
Mm.
so about 2 or 3 months ago, we needed to make sure that the company was turned around in a really big way. And so we started to look at the true vision of the company and what was the company able to do. And then the founder of the company, who's a true genius, Rushab, started speaking about data being its own form of language. And so, as we started thinking of data as a language, we started to think back to Sanskrit as one of the original languages that we spoke as humans, and that now data will start building on one of the languages. And so, this name came through, which was Sanskrita. And Sanskrita is a very Indian sounding name, but it really ties into being a derivative of Sanskrit, which is perfection. And so the design all flowed from this because it all started from the feeling that what they wanted to create and what they wanted to make people think about from a value exchange perspective afterwards. And everything started to flow towards the design feeling very Sanskrit. And even afterwards, when a bunch of Westerners kind of felt uncomfortable with the word Sanskrita because they thought, well, it's very hard for us to say. And then
Mhm.
we were like, okay, we'll put it in as an Easter egg inside the website. So we have Sanskrita mentioned very subliminally beautiful times, but everybody in the company, of which everybody is Indian, they all know that really what's happening here is a brand new language is being built. And everything changed from that. The color went from blue to purple. The messaging went from very functional, you need matching, we give matching, to we're going to help you understand this complex language so that you can make better decisions and make more money. And so it was very beautiful, but it's so true that you have to look at design and product fit in exact, not even the same family, it's mom and dad.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I think as you rightly said, once you bring in design into the mix, I think lot of things changes. Okay, and the best way to go about design is to involve design at an early stage. Many founders make this mistake because and especially if you come from a non-design background, uh, there is a rush to build something, there is a rush to sell something, and in that rush a lot of these thoughtful aspects of the value that design can add, they get lost. And then if design is done as an afterthought, if design is done as a wrapper or as a very superficial thing at a later stage in a startup, a lot of value that could have been extracted from design as a thought process, design as a philosophy, design as a way of working, uh, that's a lost opportunity. So I think it's my and in my experience, because I am housed in a university which has probably some of the best designers in this country. uh, I see the immediate difference that when design gets involved at an early stage vis-a-vis where design is an afterthought, and it reflects in all aspects that I mentioned. So uh, I think all the startups and anybody who are out there and would want to take this as a tip, that how do you build a good product? Bring design early on. Don't give it as an afterthought. It's not
Yeah.
only the wrapper. It's not only the surface level uh, aesthetics, right? That's a very difficult word, because often design is related with aesthetics of making things look good. Again, definitely that's a major aspect of what designers do or what design can do to your product or to your startup, but that's not the end of the story. That's a very organic way in which it evolves, and then it has to look good, it has to feel good. That's how, if design is done correctly, it will definitely end up doing that. But that can't be the starting point. That never is a starting point.
I actually, it's so fascinating listening to you. I actually, what I hear you saying is that in some ways design comes first. Like it actually comes first before even describing the product or something else. It's almost like watching a beautiful movie, and you first thing before you even start writing the script, you got to, before you decide which script you're going to use, you've got to decide the settings. Like, are you going to make the movie in Australia? Are you going to make the
Yeah.
movie in India? Are you going to make the movie on the sea, in a ship? Are you on like these beautiful rocks with the water crashing on top of you? Like, the entire movie is decided based on what the design. Yeah, really fascinating. So, talk to us about new how design is changing in your mind over the years. I remember years ago where it would be blue means trust, green means environmentally friendly, and then you had like all the, and then orange is optimism. But then of
Yeah.
course you had British Petroleum who thought, hey, hang on a second, if green means environmentally friendly, I think we'll have green. And then everybody who was a scamster suddenly decided they wanted to have blue for their financial products. So what's happening today? If that was maybe, I don't know, early 2000s, when there were rules that were put around design, and in some ways, in my mind, design got a little bit boring, but still very functional. How are you seeing design today?
I think I'll go back to the original definition that it's not that we have to operate by these rules. Okay, these in design, uh, yes, there are some principles, there are some rules, but it's not something that you have to really follow to the T. Okay, they are general guidelines. In that context, it was working. Is whatever time that you are mentioning, because uh, the way uh, consumer sensibilities were there, some regulations were there, or what was the general aesthetic of that time, probably that was working. And some of that might still be true because it is backed by science. Okay, like when I see red, it is danger. That's a science. Okay, but many times all of these are very, very culturally informed. So what these generalizations say that, okay, look, orange means energy and green means recycling and sustainability, that may not be the case. So again, if you look at design as a way of working, it will always start with a context. Okay, and if you are designing for India vis-a-vis you are designing for Australia, or you are designing for a different context, or you are designing globally, the rules will change, and in all ways. Okay, be it how do you name the brand, to what colors do you use, and what motives do you use, and the actual product also, in that sense, because some products may not just work in all the market. So it's it's using these rules in the backend, but not getting bogged down by them, not putting them as constraints or boundaries. And I think people are understanding that. And even smaller brands, that's why they will be able to assert that identity even if they don't fit in the regular scheme of things. So I see that as a confidence, I see that as a new aesthetic that people are trying out, that okay, hey, this is, as long as I'm true to myself, I'm true to my own values and what I bring to the table, and if that happens to be communicated in a certain way, uh, let that be the way. So it will not come in the way of being mandated by somebody that okay, it has to be in a particular. So I see that as a major shift. And because for multiple reasons, everybody is becoming more and more sensitive, and especially if you look at the new set of consumers, which are the Gen Z and all of them, they, I think they want something which is more authentic. Okay, they are not really bothered whether you are bound by a rule or where is it coming from. If it has to appeal to them, you have to speak their language, you have to speak the way they would understand it, and it has to reflect in all that you do in your communication. So all the more interesting times from both the sides, from building and new products, and at the same time delivering that to the new set of consumers that we have.
We see a lot of that even with influencers as they're building their influence, like the more genuine and authentic they are. But it's
Yeah.
also very nuanced and complicated. It's not just, it's not as simple. And again, this is for all the founders out there who are thinking, okay, great. So if I just go out there and I tell them how I'm really feeling, it's like kind of yes and no, right? It's more, it is more, you, if I can add an extra piece on and then just get your feedback on this, and then after that, I would love to see if we have any questions. Oh, yes, we do. We got loads of questions. Okay, cool. And please keep on putting questions in there as we go along. You have a design master here. Design is the center of everything with all of our companies. All I say to them is you have three steps, assuming the product and the entrepreneur. Step one, you have to get that design aspect perfect. Design, product fit, business brand, personal brand, that all fits in to that place, right? It's all the same. It's not separated. Number two, you got to build yourself as a media company. You have no choice. But there's no point in building yourself as a media company if you're doing it based on the wrong brand, wrong design, wrong messaging, wrong everything else. And then number three, you outreach like an animal. Like that's it. And then you repeat and repeat and repeat. You go back in the brands. But I think this area of design and this authentic design and the authentic design, the only piece I'll add on for your feedback is sometimes what we're thinking is wrong, right? And so unless that loop is very, very, very tied in with our consumers and how they're feeling and how they're reacting to things, it won't work. Like we have to, the authenticness, and it's not that you become less authentic or a little bit different authentic. It's because sometimes like the stuff that you're authentic about just is not that important to them, right? And so getting in that, it's like love. It's exactly the same thing as love. It's like trying to describe love to two people who are in love. They're like, well, it feels like this, you know? But it doesn't feel like this. It feels like this. So how do you build that love affair between the consumer and the design that you're building? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you, and I kind of agree with the fact that just being authentic may not serve the purpose in that sense. And again, that's where a lot of creative interventions are important. That even if it is something which is authentic and very raw, but there are ways and means in which it has to be communicated, and that's also a part of the larger communication design. So I think. Uh, just adding on to it, yes, being authentic, being real, uh, is important, but the way it has to be communicated can take different forms, and that's what I think makes the difference in a way.
And that loop is everything.
Yeah.
And you can also be very authentic. A lot of the time, the authenticness is not even what you write down. It's also how you engage with your consumer. And
Yeah.
so if you build your design and I'm like, for example, let's go back to the matchbook case, right? I think what we have built is something truly beautiful. Maybe one of the most beautiful designs I've ever been a part of building, because we've never been in such a place of authentically wanting to be able to align the value of the product with what the consumer is going to want. We actually went so far, and you'll like this, Sumit, but we wanted to be so open about the rebranding and rebuilding of Matchbook that we stepped up in August and said, we have a problem, but we want to fix the problem. And the problem is the brand, the messaging, and the engagement with the customers, but we'd like everybody's help to fix it. And we're going to tell everybody, we're going to tell investors, we're going to tell everybody, we're not going to pretend anything is wonderful, but we need your help. And we would like you to help us on this. And then we said, step one is going to be the rebuilding of the brand. And so we brought the company in here and we invited 50 strangers to come
Hmm.
in and have a group discussion about what the new brand should look like. And my intention prior to it, I had biases. Here's the big problem with brand and message and design and everything is we have so many biases. So my biases was that the brand should look, it shouldn't be blue because blue was very 2000, and it should be more of like a pinky, flicky type feel that felt like AWS meets New World, and it was going to be really cool. And that's what I had in my head. So even though I had created a crowdsourced open forum in a live environment with 50 people in here, all rebuilding the brand. Even though I had done that in my mind, I wanted the answer to end up in the place that I had decided what the answer was at the beginning. And halfway through, a young lady stood up and she said, I feel your brand is purple. We were like, no, how could it be purple? And what does purple even mean? Purple is like rich, royalty, all those types of things. And what is the new brand going to be when it comes out next week? It's going to be purple. And so also use the world to help you. Like we can't see ourselves. And sometimes the questions we're asking our customers are so wrong that we're always going to get an incorrect answer back.
Answer.
And so
Yeah.
by being vulnerable, so I'm going to layer in an additional word on top of authentic which is vulnerable. The
Wonderful.
more vulnerable that we are, the more people will actually genuinely want to help and give us the feedback that we need.
Very true. Agree on that fully, because I think they are is the next level in terms of the more authentic. And even if I show my vulnerabilities, I in a genuine way, definitely there are genuine people out there, both customers, mentors, all the stakeholders, who will definitely help you with the right intent there. So yeah.
So this is one for you. What is one of the most underrated habits or disciplines that you've noticed in top young founders?
Okay. uh, I think some of the best founders that I've worked with, they might come with their own idea, because as a founder, you are high on your idea, you want to build something. But the ones who are really good, they take out time regularly, even with the team members or most junior, most of the people, and even with people who may not be uh, more intelligent them or expert than them. They they take the feedback very, very seriously. They proactively go and ask for feedback, and that's almost like a habit. They have all rituals around it. They would have a meeting, or they would have a weekly check-in, or they would have whatever format in which they want to do it. But they continuously seek feedback in a very genuine way, and we see that reflecting in their actions immediately. So I think that's something which often gets overlooked, because usually as a founder, you are seen as a person who drives, who kind of takes a call, who pushes everybody and all of that. So that's one role which definitely a founder has to do. But I think this side is highly underrated. So I would give that as the first one.
You know what's interesting is because we've invested in so many companies and they all have different roads. So I've invested in companies that with founders that have so much resilience that I wish they had less resilience. I was like, you should you should just die. You should just let it die. Like it's just you've too much resilience. Um, and then I've got other people that didn't require any resilience whatsoever. Just they things just went right. The product fit just clicked earlier, and the
Yeah,
customer bought more. Um, and so I don't. For me, I don't even know. It's just like and honestly, I've even had some founders that even they were terrible at taking feedback, but it's still and they broke through, right? But I think the question, probably maybe better phrased, would be what are some of the top habits or disciplines that aspiring founders should have to be successful. And one of those things that you've said, of course, is the ability to do clear decision making. And you can only do clear decision making by taking in all of the feedback around you. It doesn't mean that you have to listen to the feedback, or
exactly.
sorry, it doesn't mean that you have to use the feedback. You have to listen, but you don't have to use it. But you have to be able to take in the feedback to make clear decision making. But I think maybe another one would be people who I just think people who build beautiful things have such an advantage over other people. Like a beautiful product with a beautifully designed product with a mediocre product will beat an incredible product. Well, will beat a great product
Yeah,
with a mediocre design. Interesting, right? So I
yeah,
think a lot of this does start with, there's probably 20 other attributes, but if you get the design piece right, you're so much further ahead because you're emotionally resonating with people. And we're in a world right now where everything is very quick, everything is like 10 seconds.
yeah.
Suddenly, AI is like most content. People don't read books anymore. They look for like the AI summary of the book,
Summary of
which, which means that like everybody's hearing the same thing. And so,
that.
anyone who can be different, it's not that that same thing is wrong. It's just that it's the same. So anybody who can build something truly value based
Yeah,
that hits people straight away, I think you've got gold. Really, I think you can build something incredible. You'll attract finance, you'll attract team members, you'll attract everything, even though it might be similar to what you were doing before. That's cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm just randomly pulling up the questions here. Global networks and remote collaboration becoming normal. How can Indian student founders build internationally competitive products from day one?
Kushi, I think the answer to this question is in your question itself. I think I don't see many of Indian founders actually thinking globally, and that's where a lot of opportunities are lost. So the answer to your question is already there, that there is no limits, means you can collaborate, you can actually find the real markets, and people are always there on both the sides of the world to kind of really make that handshake and make things happen. Okay, it's only that we are limited by our own vision and our own ambition. So whatever you are building, definitely India will have a market, and India has a wide variety of customers where you can build products and kind of do a scale and all of that. But there would be some categories, there are some areas where probably starting out in a different market may give you a better advantage. Okay, so it takes some amount of research and some amount of networking, that, as you rightly say, there is enough already available. You have to just go out, seek, and I'm sure with people like Bran and the team and everybody who is in this space, uh, these are the opportunities right in front of you. You ask for it, and there will be 10 people out there to help you, provided you have something of your own, you have that passion, you have that clarity in terms of what you want to go ahead with and build something. uh, there is enough to be explored and enough to be done out there.
Yeah. Very interestingly, Kushi, so first of all, the answer to your question is like Expert Dojo are one such organization. We just only invest in people. So we have always invested in India. We've always invested in Africa, but we're like quadrupling down on India. We'll probably invest in like 50 to 100 companies in 2026, and we'll probably invest in more companies in 2027 and more companies after that. Um, but I'll tell you a very interesting story just from this morning. Like I was on with Ashutosh like a couple of hours ago, and I was talking to him about the fact that we have this skin cream. Like we've done great on a lot of the business products, but on a lot of the CPG products, we haven't done so amazing. And so we have one of these products, which is like a skin cream product, which we've been trying to get launched in the US, but I haven't found a good founder. And we had this discussion today where we're like, why don't we launch it in India? Like, it's not hard. It's a luxury skin cream from America with a top dermatologist that has backed the skin cream. Everybody's going to love it. Why wouldn't we launch it in India? It's much easier for us to do, much more cost effective, much better market. India is going through, I often say India is going through 1970s and 1980s America, where everybody wants to have convenience items right beside them. Everybody wants somebody cooking for them. Everybody wants somebody driving for them, which is wonderful. It's like the best time for liquidity in the market. So if we know that that market is incredibly liquid for being able to sell product which will look relatively exotic because it's a top dermatologist in the United States sending it over, we have an angle. So first of all, have an angle to what you're putting over. You don't just want to send it to another country just because the other country is there. But then once you have that, the world is small and it's very, very easy to be able to break through. So yes, well done. Boldest idea you've seen from a student founder recently, something that truly surprised you?
Hmm. Interesting question. Quite a few. Let me think. I think one of them, which I would take an example, is we had a student, and he was interested in music. Okay, to begin with, that's how it all started, and the idea was to really convert music, or for that matter any sound, into a 3D product. Just take time to visualize that you feed in a sound signal, and with 3D printing and all those technologies, you actually get a product which is a 3D version of that sound. And the use case was customized jewelry and whatnot. Means you were actually converting a sound into a product which is in the form of a jewelry, in form of a accessory, in form of any lifestyle furniture piece, you name it, and you can kind of have it. So just visualize that you can convert or have a product of your choice which has a sound embedded into it. So that's something which it's quite bold, and something which is very innovative and creative in its own way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually think for the very first time ever, it doesn't even matter. Like, this isn't even a student question. Like, Perplexity was built by a kid who was an intern over in OpenAI. But for the first time ever, like, AI has really meant that if you're 18, you have an advantage over somebody who's 40, right?
Yeah,
Or over 50 or whatever. Like, there's no developer that's been in the market for more than 5 years that has more advantages than a 21-year-old who's just gone through IIT. Like, there's nobody. So it doesn't actually matter. It's not even about students or non-students or anything anymore. It's more, the question is more, what's the most innovative product that you're seeing in the market today? And there's
yeah,
obviously there's a huge amount of discussion around AI. My personal feeling is that it's going to be what's around AI, which is going to become more interesting than anything else. I'm going to go down here because this is like a fun question.
yeah.
Don't be a VC. It sucks. Get a real job. Get a real job. Start a company. Start your own company. Make money. Too many VCs, like myself, live out here sucking on the. I'm trying to think. I can think of a better way of saying it. Actually, I can't think of a better way of saying it. Don't be a VC. Like, it's okay to be a VC, but don't be a VC. Be a great founder. Do something of value and worth in the world. Show that you're worthy of a thing. It's like becoming a king, like, just because your mom and dad were kings. Like, it's okay, but you didn't really do anything, did you? You're just a kid who lucky to have a mom and dad who are a mom and dad like that. Go out there, found something great, transform someone's life, and then take the money that you've made from that and invest in other people who are doing the same thing. Otherwise, you're just a kid looking for a job with money so you can tell your friends that you're a VC. Okay, what else have we got? Okay, cool. I like this. No, we got loads. You're getting like so much college love here. Do you think Indian college campuses are becoming fertile grounds for breakthrough startups? I mean, I will tell you from my side of it, I'm going to stand outside IIT with a little sign saying, come over here, please, founders. So, yes, I'm feeling very bullish. What do you feel?
Yeah, yeah, and not only IITs. Means I think IITs have done whatever bit they have been able to do for this ecosystem, but even private players and the university that I come from, the ecosystem that we have built is exactly what is being mentioned in terms of the entire facilitation and the whole drive to build something. In some cases, we see that even higher than the IITs, and definitely it's a fertile ground. The Indian education system is undergoing a big rehaul, and it is all supporting innovation and entrepreneurship. Now, there are policy decisions, there have been policy enabling, which has already happened, and people like us who have already taken advantage of that to structure our academics around innovation and entrepreneurship, not the other way around. So, it's not that you have to wait for you to complete a degree and then only you can do something. Right from the first, the best of the ideas that we get are coming from the first year students right there, when they enter into the first year freshman.
There's a
So
lot happening, and you're going to see lots more people like us, like venture capitalists, that are coming in and getting more and more involved with the college systems because we know it's not the game has changed. It's all changed. The money is in the hacker houses and it's in the universities. That's where you
yep.
should be hanging around. The moment you leave there, there's a very old movie called Children of the Corn, which is an old Stephen King movie where everybody over the age of 18, like, they don't exist in a village. And then they start looking for where all of the older people go, and they've all walked into this field and they're never seen again. I think like the great AI engineers are going to be kids. And I think we've got 10 years of kids building the future of the world. And as terrifying as it is, it's also awesome as well. I like this as the last question. And then we're going to finish up with your most insightful piece of advice for a founder that is looking to build a design led company. What is the thing that they are going to finish this live stream today and they're going to be like, yo, I'm doing this now? But before we get to that, as someone who works closely with young innovators, I actually really like this question as well. What signal tells you if a student is ready to become a job creator rather than a job seeker? So, yeah.
I think one signal is, for a long time you choose to stay with one problem or one solution. Okay, that's where the difference is made. We see a lot of students who keep doing multiple things and they lose the focus. So as a, if even in today's world, as a student or as a innovator, for that matter, if you're able to concentrate and focus on just doing one thing right, uh, that's a good recipe for building something useful in today's time. It because I think given the AI, given whatever is happening around us, it still takes that focus if you have to really build something meaningful in today's time. That doesn't mean that you don't have speed or you don't have agility and you kind of don't explore other things, but we can tell that from a student that who stays with a particular project or a particular problem for a long time, I think they are the ones who are actually going and building it rather than kind of dissipating their energies in multiple things. So as a student, it's very important that you choose, and the source can be anything. It can be your passion, it can be because of some other reason, or you might just be very good with it. You are just seeing that as an opportunity and you are choosing to stay with it. I think that's the best signal that I have seen and experienced so far.
Beautiful. And then while Kishli's putting up your details on the screen, just your last bits of advice for all entrepreneurs listening.
I think a lot of work that has to happen both in India and globally. I think the whole idea of being out there and building something which really makes a difference. So, so take example of say agri or health or for that matter finance or any of the domain, right? And I'm taking some examples which are very relevant in both Indian and global context. Unless you have that first-hand experience of what the users are going through, what that entire ecosystem is, uh, you can't build things sitting in your offices or sitting in your classrooms or sitting in your fancy AC studios. If you want to really build something and build something which can be, which will have takers, which will have real users, you have to start it from there. And you may have the brilliant of the idea, you may be a prodigy, you may have very great ideas, but unless you are able to ground them, you'll not be able to get the actual users using your product. And as a founder, as a designer, as a innovator, I think the biggest joy and the biggest satisfaction is people actually using your products, people actually experiencing that. And I think that's where the ball sets rolling. And what Rand was mentioning, that loop starts, that feedback starts, and then that shows up in everything that you do, and then you get more and more opportunities to kind of make it better in each of the iteration. So I think that's one very simple advice, that build something real. Don't go by trends. Don't go by the buzzwords that are around you, because there is enough of that to confuse you. There's enough of that to distract you. So the more and more you find yourself grounded in a reality, as a founder, you will feel more and more satisfied, and then only you'll be able to really create good products. And that's where design will play an important role in your journey. So that's my quick advice to all those who want to really build something impactful out there. Yep. Thank you, Kisley. It was fantastic having you over here. And my details are there in the chat. If anybody wants to reach out for any further questions, happy to answer that. Thank you.